And away we go. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Scott Spears Now, and we have a whole lot to talk about this episode because we are taping it a few days after Groundhog Day 2025, and it was quite an event, and we're going to tell you about it. And during the break of this episode, we're going to show you the footage of what happened on Groundhog Day. You are going to love to see this. This is something like you've never seen before. It was a big day here at WGH Talk. It started off with the peanut butter jelly truck. Our mystery person went on the peanut butter jelly truck to an undisclosed location to everybody. James Anderson got up and told us about groundhogs. Marion County naturalist Dr. Davis, Marion County Commissioner, gave us a proclamation. And then the moment came when the peanut butter jelly truck arrived here at the station on Groundhog Day morning at 8:45 a.m. The groundhog got out, walked over to the microphone, picked a piece of pizza. We learned that there will be 6 more weeks of winter. We are in line with Puxatony Phil. Not Buckeye Chuck. Buckeye Chuck said early spring, but Puxatony Phil said 6 more weeks of winter. We got 6 more weeks of winter. And then the hat came off, the head came off, as it were, and we learned that the groundhog was the 40th treasurer of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow. Mary Ellen, nobody guessed that you would be the groundhog, and there you were.
Yes, I'm amazed that they didn't guess because, you know, I wasn't very tall in that suit, and I thought, well, they'd figure out it was a woman, first of all, and but they didn't, evidently.
They didn't, and it was great. We had many guesses the Friday before on the station. People had guessed Buckeye Guy. People had guessed the quarterback for Ohio State. They had guessed Governor Strickland, Mayor Kellogg. There was a whole litany of guests, and nobody guessed that it was you.
Yeah.
And it was great. And what was it like being the groundhog? What was the experience like?
Well, it was a nice experience. The suit was kind of big on me, but no, playing a role of something else is always fun, and I liked that, and then anyway, Groundhog Day is fun anyway. It's a fun thing, and I think everybody just has a good time on Groundhog Day, which is nice.
It is, and I think it was great, and I think your quote when the head came off, when you said, "This is the height of my career," people will remember that. That made them laugh.
They did laugh, yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
It got a good reaction.
Right.
It was fun. And we do have to say that Dr. Davis presented us that morning with this groundhog, which we now have on the set, our little groundhog friend. So that's what they look like right there.
He is really cute. He's so soft. I wondered where he got him.
I don't know where he came from. It came out of an Amazon bag. I know that.
Did it?
So it must have come from somewhere far away. But it's great. So stay tuned. Before we bring Matt Morgan in, we're going to take a little break here, and we will show you that footage of what happened on Groundhog Day during this episode. You'll get to see the whole thing live as it happened. And we did get coverage in the paper, so we certainly appreciate that. This was the advertisement that was actually in the week before, which was advertising Groundhog Day event to feature mystery guest, pizza slices, and more. That was the article that we did not get to show last week, but that was the advertisement for the event. And I do believe in the next 2 days that the Star is going to be running an article on what actually did happen on Groundhog Day. So you'll have to look for that article, and when we get it, we'll show it on the air. So all in all, I think Groundhog Day was a success.
Good.
Now, Mary Ellen, in the midst of Groundhog Day, a lot of news. We can't go 15 minutes, I don't think, anymore in this country without having some kind of breaking news run into the screen. Let's start with the big news that concerns you regarding Treasury. We talked about this on the radio last week, but we're going to talk about it here because it just keeps going and going and going. Has become a national story now. They are talking about it on all the talk shows and news shows. Elon Musk's team now has access to Treasury's payment system. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent gave representatives of the so-called Department of Government Efficiency access to the federal payment system late on Friday. According to 5 people familiar with the change, handling Elon Musk and the team he is leading, a powerful tool. He is leading a powerful tool to monitor and potentially limit government spending. The new authority follows a standoff last week, it would have been, with a top Treasury official who had resisted allowing Mr. Musk's lieutenants into the department's payment system, which sends out money on behalf of the entire federal government. The official, a career civil servant named David Liebrick, was put on leave and then suddenly retired on Friday after a dispute, according to people familiar with his exit. The system could give the Trump administration another mechanism to attempt to restrict disbursement of money approved for specific purposes by Congress, a push that has faced legal roadblocks. And since this article was published on Sunday, Treasury has been sued, so there are lawsuits about this already. Here we are, Mary Ellen, where you used to work.
Yes.
What do you make of this?
Yes, I'll bet they're nervous as heck, you know. I can't imagine what it's like inside Treasury. Most of the people have retired that were there when I was there, and I was trying to figure out who I could talk to find out how they felt, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this man, Liebrick, had been there for a while, but not dating back to the 90s, but he had been there for a while, and he hung it up because of it, retired.
Mm-hmm. Well, was he from Wall Street?
I believe he was.
Yeah.
But had been there, I believe, took a position in Treasury during Obama, but he was kept on during Trump the first time. He was kept on during Biden.
Yeah.
So he had been there quite a while.
Well, you know, I look for Larry Summers. He was Secretary of the Treasury, the last one, when I was there, and a lot of times he speaks out about things, and I kind of look for him maybe to say something. I doubt if Bob Rubin says anything, but of course Lloyd Bentsen is no longer alive. But yeah, I would like to have somebody from Treasury say something so I could get the feel of what it's like, you know.
Now, at this point, you probably are the most senior member of Treasury, I would say. The person before you, I don't think, is still around.
She went back to she was a Native American.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, she went back to Connecticut. She was head of her tribe in Connecticut. And, well, I could maybe try to get a hold of her, but she's not there. She left a few days before this changeover took place, so I don't know if she would know anything or not.
Being somebody, the only person who served Treasury on the local, state, and national level, what do you make of this access to the money?
Oh, I mean, it's just scary. You don't want anybody to have access to that money, and especially somebody that's not in the government. That's just unheard of.
You know, a lot of people are having a problem with this because Congress is supposed to control the money. I think our cameraman, are you doing okay over there? Wave a hand or something.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Live.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes. That's what that noise was. People were going to be wondering what in the world was going on over there. Went down the wrong pipe, huh?
It was the groundhog.
It was the groundhog. Basically, this is about access to people's money, is what people are afraid of.
Yeah.
Is that he will not allow money to go to certain groups where it's already been approved.
Yes.
And I think he's already done that to some degree.
Oh, has he?
I think he has.
Yeah.
People are suing.
Yeah. Well, I've heard a little bit on television. They haven't had a lot on, and I'm anxious. I listen very carefully to all of this. But it's such a concern because it's our money, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Now, my theory on this, why I think this is happening, is I think they want to get sued. Because they know this is illegal. The Trump administration knows it's illegal to do what they have done. And because they know Congress is supposed to control the finances. And I think they want to get sued. And I think the reason they want to get sued is so it will go to the Supreme Court. And I think they want the Supreme Court to rule that it's okay for them to do this.
Boy.
Because if that happens, then essentially Congress doesn't mean anything.
No.
That gives all the power to
I
the
know
executive branch.
there's nothing to protect us. We have no protection at all.
You know, it's very interesting because the Founding Fathers gave Congress basically two duties: the power of the purse and the power to declare war. And essentially, they don't have either one of those anymore. You know, if a president wants to go to war, nobody's going to stop him. Congress is not going to stop him.
Yeah.
And if this goes to the Supreme Court and they rule that a president does have this kind of power,
Yeah.
that's the end of Congress.
Yeah. And that's probably what they're going to do, too.
I would guess, what do you make of this push to expand the executive branch's powers?
Well, he wants as much power as he can get. That's what he's after. He's after power so he can run everything. He wants to stop the people that tells him he can't do this, he can't do that. He's trying to get it fixed so he can do anything he wants. Yeah.
Have your fears been realized? We're only 17, 18 days into this at this point. The fear of dictatorship, the fear of being an autocrat, have they been realized at this point?
Yes, they certainly have. When they took over Treasury, when they got into Treasury the way they are, that was it for me.
That was the last step. Step too far. You know, what do you think Elon Musk's goal is? I mean,
Well, he wants to, I think he wants to make money as much as he can. Whether he has better thoughts, I don't know, because it looks to me like he says he wants to save money, but I think he wants to make more money for himself.
and he's already the richest man in the world.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's his objective. And does he have 12 children?
I don't know. I don't know how many
They
kids he
came
has.
on and they said, where's all of his wives? Is he?
They all do have a lot of wives, it seems like.
Yeah.
Trump's got 3,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, 3.
Yeah,
3.
Mhm.
And then,
Well, 2 are still alive. but-
yeah, one's buried on his golf course.
Is that right?
That's where they buried her, right on his golf course.
Okay.
He gets to see her a lot, I guess.
Yes.
What a place to be buried. Poor Ivana Trump.
Yeah.
The whole thing, you know, it's interesting because we ran into somebody locally here who came into the studio to listen to you give an interview on Groundhog Day, somebody who's involved in the local Democratic Party. And this story really upset her, this Treasury story.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one that set her over the edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really bad.
Yeah. And what's going to happen? I guess we don't know.
No.
We don't know what the end result
No,
is.
every day it's 5 or 6 big things happen.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about some of those other things. We're going to bring Matt in here at the break, but let's go through some of these things before we bring him in. It looks as if RFK and Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel are going to be approved. It's leaning that way. Now, Kash Patel, 12 kids? He has 12 kids? Okay, he does have 12. Elon Musk has 12 kids.
That's what they said, and I was surprised. He's got this one on his shoulders all the time, but you never see a woman with him.
No.
I have never seen a woman with him.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, he is from a foreign country, and not that that's a bad thing, but it is interesting that you have this foreign actor now associated with all the money and all the information in Treasury.
Yes.
I don't think anything like that has ever happened in the history of the country.
Not that we know of. You know, we can't go way back. It might have happened way back because back in the beginning, everybody was from somewhere else.
Well, you know what I thought about this whole thing is Musk is not really the head of he's the head of a created department. So he did not have to go through a Senate confirmation. He did not have to give up certain information in a disclosure that you normally would if you were going to be working in the government, because he's not considered in an official position.
Right.
But yet he's been given some of the most sensitive information
Right.
that this government has.
Yeah, he's right with the president telling him what he wants him to do.
Why do you think Trump is all in on Elon Musk?
Well, he gave him a lot of money, and I think Trump thinks he's very smart. I think he does respect that, how much money he's made, and it's the respect, I think, there.
What can the Democrats do about this?
Well, if they had the Senate or the Congress, they could do something. Or if they had the Supreme Court, but we don't have anything.
How did this all happen?
Well, people voted the wrong way is what happened.
And here, do you think people are regretting it, are starting to regret it?
Well, I hope they are, because I hope they realize what's going on.
You know, it's a very interesting time, and I don't know where this is all going to end up, but I do notice that people seem to be very frightened by this, and they don't think it's so much a joke anymore. You know, I think when Trump first became president back in 2017, I think people saw him still as kind of a joke, who didn't know what he was doing.
And he was funny. I mean, back then, you listened to him and you'd laugh at his stuff. Now he's not funny anymore. When he ran this time, he was just saying stupid things, and they still voted for him.
Well, and these picks, RFK Jr. to run the health department, Tulsi Gabbard to be the head of intelligence, Kash Patel to be head of the FBI, it looks as if they're all going to get confirmed. What do you make of that?
Well, he's picking people that he likes, that like him, so that he can run everything.
But are these people capable?
No,
this
they're
is
not.
your food, your medicine, your protection.
No, they don't seem to be capable. And we're all concerned about that.
So why is the Congress and Senate going along? The Senate only has to have 4 Republicans say no. They can't muster that on any of these people?
Evidently not. They've had 3, and everybody else is scared to death.
Well, what do they do if a disaster happens? I mean, God forbid, if the United States was attacked right now, what would the person who's running the Defense Department, would he know how to handle that?
I doubt it.
So what would we do?
You know, they showed it was one of the sports games in Canada.
Yeah.
And when our national anthem was played, they booed.
Booed loud.
Yes, you saw that.
I did see that.
I tell you, no, that doesn't make you feel good.
When the American national anthem was played during a sporting event, a lot of people there, they booed.
Yes,
The
it
Canadians.
was loud. Yeah.
Now, this was all in regard to the tariff situation.
Mm-hmm.
Trump said last Friday
Yeah.
that he was going to put a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico if they didn't come around to his way of thinking by Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
They said they were not going to come around to his way of thinking. On late Monday night, he called them and said, I'm going to give you a 30-day extension on this. And they said, listen, we'll do a little bit. We'll give you, Mexico, I think, said we'll give you 10,000 troops on the border, which, what is that supposed to do? I mean, the border is so long between Mexico and the United States. 10,000 troops is like a drop in the bucket.
Right.
And Canada said they would do some intelligence work on the drug trade. So I don't think Trump got what he wanted in this particular situation. Were you surprised that the tariffs did not happen?
A little bit, yeah. I figured it would happen, but that is what Trump does, though. If you think at how he operates, you know, he's going to do this, he's going to do that, and then I think they threatened him back, and then he backs down.
Well, I think they've learned that this is his strategy now.
Yeah.
That he's going to threaten you, and you're going to be scared because he's going to come after you like no other president would. But now they've learned to call his bluff because he's not going to come after you. So now he's not in the position of power he once was, because I do believe people didn't trust him at one point, but now they know he backs down when his bluff is called.
Yeah.
So, well, China, though, that's a mess, because China already had some sanction in there. The tariffs are staying in place with China, but China has said, if you don't take these tariffs off by next Tuesday, we're going to put tariffs on your items, which that's not going to be good for the Americans.
Right.
Why does Trump think that tariffs are the way to solve these problems?
Well, he has certain things in his mind that he comes up with. and he was talking about this for some time now. And I think he just thinks that's been a wonderful idea, and he's going to do that, and then he tries to do it, and he has trouble, and then he backs down. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm anxious to see the final on this,
Well, I'll tell you, the big news in the last 24 hours, whenever you're watching this, Trump was having a press conference with Netanyahu on the whole Israel-Palestine situation.
Right.
And all of a sudden he speaks up and says, well, the United States is going to take over the Gaza Strip. And Netanyahu looked like, who am I up here with?
Right.
Who is this? Yeah, I don't think he had heard that until they got up in front of people. And first of all, you can't do that. You can't take over the Gaza Strip if you're America. There are international laws that you would break if you tried to do that. And what in the world are we going to do with it?
And wasn't Trump saying that they should go to some other country and get a happy home?
Yeah. Go find somewhere else.
Yeah, go somewhere else and get a nice home and have a happy life, is what he said.
And I think he said he was going to make the Gaza Strip the Riviera.
Yeah, he said that too.
I think he did, yeah.
Right.
But do people, see, I think this again is one of those bluffs.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to say it, and then people are going to get all up in arms about it, but I have no intention to do that.
Yeah.
Because he would have to put American soldiers over there. And I don't think he wants to do that.
I don't want him to do it.
I mean, is it even possible to do? I can't imagine it would be possible.
I don't know.
We'll find.
You think the laws would? Well, I'm not so sure.
I certainly think the Palestinians would have a problem with it.
Well, yeah.
and I think that some of the people in that part of the world, I think Israel wants this land. I don't think they want the United States to take it over.
No.
So if Israel cannot displace Palestine, and they've been having this religious war for years and years and years now, what makes the United States think we're going to go over there and all of a sudden, we'll just stop that war. We'll take over the Gaza Strip, and then there'll be no Palestinians, and that's that.
Yeah. We can't take over anywhere. We've got our own United States. Like he wants to take over Canada and Greenland and it's just all talk.
It is.
Yeah, it's all talk.
Well, what's interesting to me about this whole thing, taking over the Gaza Strip, people really think that can be done. Like, you could just walk in to another country and everybody's just going to get up and move.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Nope.
Or an area. And then the whole thing about this is that how does this help Netanyahu? I don't think he liked the look of it.
No, he's got his own problems. I don't know how he's going to last very long, really, now.
You know what somebody did say, though, and it is true. Because it's pretty well known that the group Osama bin Laden were Muslim terrorists. Well, I'll tell you, just saying something like this, don't you think that puts an X on the back of every American for terrorism? Saying you're going to take over their land? We never did that, and they were already angry with us.
Yeah, we're not making any friends, believe me.
Certainly not the Canadians either at this, or the Mexicans.
No.
And now we've learned that Trump has a new head of the FCC. This is interesting to talk about. They're investigating PBS and NPR for the way they do advertising. And we learned today that they're going after CBS for editing videos, going after ABC for having David Muir moderate the debate, and they're going after NBC because Kamala Harris was on Saturday Night Live prior to the election. The last head of the FCC said to bring these charges against these networks would be against free speech. Now the new guy comes in and reinstates all the complaints and all the investigations into all these networks.
My goodness, I didn't know any of that.
Yep, it has happened. All NPR, PBS, CBS, ABC, NBC all now have either investigations or complaints levied against them.
What about MSNBC? Has anything happened there?
No, but they are owned by NBC.
Yeah, they are.
So, yeah, they fall under that category.
It'll be interesting to see if anything happens there.
Well, and it's awful interesting because the guy who reinstated these complaints, you know where he did it? Fox News.
Oh.
So there you go. At least he chose a broadcasting outlet to do it on.
Yeah.
I mean, I never dreamed that the FCC chairman would be investigating networks for political bias. That's not how it's supposed to work.
And I don't think they were biased.
Well, no, some of these complaints, CBS edited a video. Well, they edit videos all the time. If it's not live, it's edit. They're investigating ABC for picking David Muir to moderate the debate. That's no... I mean, you like David Muir over at ABC.
I do.
No, they didn't like it.
I like him, and he certainly never did anything that was out of the ordinary I ever saw.
And the NBC one is the most peculiar of all, having Kamala Harris on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
That's a complaint.
Oh.
So, what are they going to do? What's the FCC going to do? Pull their license? I guess they could.
Could they?
They could. And I don't know who would stop them.
They charge money, or what would they do?
They would probably just pull their license so they could not be over the air. Now, thank God we have the internet, but how long is that free for people?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where any of this is headed. I know the fact that they're doing it means something.
Yeah.
And it could be just a threat, again, that you better start coming around to our way of thinking, or else we will pull your license. Nixon tried to do this.
That's what they said. I
wonder if anybody's been to the IRS, because Nixon liked to use the IRS to have people audited.
Oh, yeah.
And he went after Katharine Graham's ownership of television stations that she owned.
Yeah.
So it's been done before, but not to this degree. It wasn't, the major networks were going to go after it. It was local stations that were affiliated with the Washington Post.
They're doing things that we never thought of.
But
we never entered my mind that they would go to the extremes that they're going to.
But what's interesting about this whole thing is these people, like Nixon, for example, yes, he did use the IRS. Yes, he did go to the FCC and get people investigated. But he did it, we didn't know about that till after the fact. These people are doing it right in the open, and nobody seems to care.
Yeah.
Now, there were protests in the country today. We're taping this on Wednesday. There were some in the Congress. There were some in some cities across the country. But I don't know that they were big. I think they were about immigration.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
I haven't heard much about the immigration situation.
I think they were partially about that and partially about Elon Musk. It wasn't a big story. I mean, they said a little that, people in different cities across the country were... I think they were also at the Capitol. But it was only hundreds. It wasn't big crowds.
And how's Guantanamo doing? I mean, is that working out?
They're working on it, but nobody's there yet.
Oh,
so I guess we'll find out where that all shakes out. But I guess you have to say at least they're doing it in the public. They're certainly not keeping it a secret what they're doing.
No.
It's right out there. Well, I'll tell you what, we are going to take a break, and during this break, you are going to get to watch the big groundhog video. So stay tuned for that, and when we come back, Matt Morgan's going to join us, and we're going to talk about all these things and where we are, and Mary Ellen's going to stick around, and we're going to continue on with the program. Here's Groundhog Day 2025.
Oh, the dogs in the neighborhood are going crazy. Now again, we thank the peanut butter jelly truck driven by Amy Orr Parker. and her husband Brock for being here this morning. We are moments away from the weather prediction. People are getting out of their cars now on this isolated, very cold 25-degree February 2nd, 2025. I see the groundhog on the opposite side of the truck. Matt Morgan is with them. The groundhog is coming this way, Gary. The excitement is super heavy.
It's about to come to fruition.
The groundhog is close by here at WDH Talk. Now, before we show who the groundhog is, we have to get the pizza out here. The groundhog is here. We're so happy to see you, groundhog. So good to be with you. Bob Welsh will come along here. Bob, come in the front. Open up the pizza. Here goes the groundhog pizza. And our groundhog will point to a slice of pizza. Right there. This one right here. Let's find out what the prediction is this morning. Bob.
Sorry, my fingers are frozen.
Bob's fingers are frozen. Here, let's get the prediction out of there. There it is. Oh, Bob, what is the prediction?
6 more weeks of winter.
Oh, no, we're in the opposite direction of Buckeye Chuck this morning. 6 more weeks of winter. Well, now the moment has come that everybody has waited for. Again, people have guessed Buckeye Chuck, or Buckeye Guy. Well, they might have guessed Buckeye Chuck. Who knows? They've guessed Mike Chick. They have guessed Mayor Collins, Mayor Kellogg. They have guessed Thunderbolt Patterson. Ted Williams was on the list. I forgot that. Matt, come over here. We need you here to help unmask our groundhog once and for all. We're going to find out. It is 10 till here on this Groundhog Morning 2025, February 2nd. Let's find out the identity of the groundhog.
Out of the dog. Out of the dog.
Go sideways.
Yeah.
Mary Ellen
Oh my goodness.
of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow is the groundhog. Mary Ellen, come back here so we can hear you on the microphone. It is so good to see you. No, nobody guessed you.
That's great.
Isn't that, we kept it a secret.
Yes. You know, this may be the height of my career.
That's the height of the career. Oh my goodness, it happened here on this February 2nd, 2025.
Yes. Who can be a groundhog?
That's
I mean, you know, it's not easy.
No.
That head was difficult.
In the warm? The head was a difficult wear, but you did it. You are the groundhog, and it's the top of your career. My goodness.
Yes. You know,
pinnacle.
I like to do things for Marion because Marion has been really good to me. They elected me back in the beginning, and I couldn't have done all the things that I did if I hadn't been elected. So I like to do whatever I can for Marion and Marion County.
Well, the one thing we do want to say here this morning is that Mary Ellen has had a very long career, very successful career, 40th Treasurer of the United States. She is Marion's favorite daughter. Many people have said that. And it's also important to mention that she has been the treasurer at the local, state, and national level, something nobody else has ever done. And that is apropos because you are a treasurer, Mary Ellen.
Well, you know, I am a national treasurer.
You are.
Yeah,
You are.
that's right.
You are. You're a national treasurer, a local treasurer, and we're so glad to have you here this morning. But 6 more weeks of winter, Mary Ellen, is our prediction.
I got the wrong thing.
No. You're always right.
And I hope you enjoyed that groundhog footage. Mary Ellen, you got to see it for the first time there. What'd you make of it?
Oh, I thought it was funny. Yeah, I didn't have any idea really how I looked in it. You know, I had seen the suit, but I hadn't seen it on me.
It's different when you see the take the whole thing
right,
in. Take the whole look in.
Right. Well, the arms, well, the hands were. I had trouble keeping those on because they were kind of down here.
The paws went a little further.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It was a fun day, and again, the prediction: 6 more weeks of winter, and as soon as we get the newspaper article about it, we will show that to you on this program. So we're glad you enjoyed it. Matt, what's your memories of Groundhog Day?
Oh, you know.
You rode around. Now, see, we don't know what
Yeah.
was going on. You were in the peanut butter jelly truck while we were back here doing the broadcast.
Oh, we got a tour of the facility in which they make the peanut butter and jelly. They also make laundry detergent, and they give that out to food pantries and things like that to give out. to people who need it. And they're also working on, I don't remember the name for this project, but they're collecting prom dresses for, or maybe it's homecoming dresses, either way, for, people who need those.
A lot of good things being done with that group.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was very impressive.
The Peanut Butter Jelly group does a great job here in town.
All with like 5 people.
Yeah, it's a small staff.
Yeah.
And it's also great that I believe it's all volunteer. And it's also great that we have people like Commissioner Davis, who came out that morning, and naturalist James Anderson, who came out that morning. It was a fun event to be around, so we're glad that everybody enjoyed it, and we'll see what happens next year as we continue on with the tradition. Now, want to talk a little bit about the FBI. We haven't talked about that during this episode. 20,000 federal employees, we've learned, have taken the buyout that Trump has offered them. I believe they have till this Thursday to take that buyout. We don't know where they're coming from, but Mary Ellen, a lot of people in the FBI are either being fired or taking the leave.
Yes, it was a lot of people. I didn't know exactly, but anybody that had something to do with January 6th event is being fired, they said. Yeah.
What do you make of that? What does that say to you? What does that signal?
Well, he's, he let the ones out of prison that had been put in prison for doing that, and then he fires the people that worked on it. I mean, he's upset about January 6th. It's pretty evident there. So for him to go that far, though, to fire the FBI, I think it's fun. It's really just too much. Yeah. It's just too much.
Has there ever been a presidency like this? Even comparable?
No, not that I know of.
Remember when politics used to be normal?
Yeah. Yeah, we really wish it was back to normal.
You know what's interesting? I think that people who are younger don't understand that this whole Trump era that we've really been in for 12 years now, that's not really what it's like. That's not really what it was like.
No, the living situation and what people will accept is so entirely different than it used to be. As I've said, they wouldn't let anybody run for president that had been divorced.
Yeah, till Ronald Reagan.
Think about that, And then it's got to this level where, my goodness gracious, I mean, I never thought I'd ever see anything like this.
It's interesting. I think it's given people a jaded view. They think that this is just Republican and Democrat.
No.
I mean, when Reagan was elected, I'm sure, well, you were in office, I'm sure you weren't a fan of Ronald Reagan, but he wasn't doing things like Trump is doing.
No, Ronald Reagan was a reasonable president, very reasonable.
And I think people feel that way about his father Bush.
Yeah. Although Reagan, I think, was in far too long, his mind was not good at a lot of the last part of his term while he was in. He shouldn't have been there.
And we did find out in 94, only 6 years after he left, that he had Alzheimer's.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, there was definitely a problem. But, Matt, you're only 21, so Trump has been around since you have been 9?
Well,
somewhere in that neighborhood. Young.
He's been, in politics, I guess. But yeah, he's been around for a lot longer than that, though.
But, he really wasn't a huge deal.
Did you watch his show?
No.
You didn't?
No.
So, you don't know a political world without Donald Trump, really?
I watched I watched the debates, I'm pretty sure, between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama. I know that I sat up and watched the election because my mom told me I had to go to bed because we had school the next day. She wouldn't let me stay up and watch the whole thing.
Well, they called that early. They called that election at 11, I think, when Obama won California.
Well, she sent me to bed. So
Must have been before 11. Must have been before 11. But you know what? When McCain ran against Obama, that was not... I don't think people thought McCain was going to win, but if he had, I don't think people would have thought the country's going to go down the tubes.
No, McCain was, when Obama was called a name, isn't that it?
Yeah.
He said...
Muslim.
Yes. He said, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I thought I thought that was a great thing. Yeah.
Those days are gone.
Yeah.
Those days are out the window. And, you know, even George W. Bush, who a lot of people did not like and had a lot of problem with, he was not a threatening guy. I didn't feel.
No, he wasn't threatening, but his. I didn't like the fact that he started 2 wars.
Right, he did do things that people didn't like policy-wise, but I think he did them the legal way. He wasn't doing things like are being done now.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You might not have liked what he was doing, but he was using Congress and the Senate how they're supposed to be used. Back then, there were people who actually stood up and said, I don't like what you're doing.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of people stood up.
Now, forget that. Those days are gone. And why? Why are those days gone?
I think politics is a lot more party lines.
Well, it was pretty thick during Obama and W. Bush, but you didn't have somebody doing something that was illegal. You know, you didn't have somebody putting the richest man in the world in the Treasury Department and giving them access to all the records.
You know, I blame McConnell for a lot of this because he would not let Obama appoint somebody to the Supreme Court. And that was the start of the Supreme Court going absolutely nuts.
You know, what do you think happened in the country where somebody like Donald Trump could be elected? Somebody with no experience,
Yeah.
somebody who had never been in the military, somebody who certainly was not qualified for the job. Was it a backlash to Obama?
No, I think they thought he was a businessman and he could do something about running the government better. I think a lot of people thought he would be a good businessman, and he certainly isn't.
Well, you know what's interesting to me about Donald Trump is I never thought of Donald Trump as a businessman. I thought of Donald Trump as kind of a goofy TV person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, did that show The Apprentice. He would show up on movies and talk shows every so often. I never thought of him like a businessman. Like Ross Perot, I thought that was a businessman. He had money.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't a television person. Donald Trump was a television person to me. He wasn't a businessman.
Well, by being a television person that he won over a lot of people. I think that's where it happened. He was able to get the people to believe in him. And
Well,
that's the secret behind the whole thing, running for office.
he does have some kind of charisma that does appeal to a certain group of people. He certainly has taken people who he has nothing in common with, lower economic people, and got them to favor him.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be the Democrats' stronghold, was the lower economic groups,
That's right.
and that's gone.
Mhm.
It's become part of the Trump coalition for whatever reason. Where did the Democratic Party lose that group?
I don't know. It's that's a good question.
You know, they say now that the Democratic Party is the party of the college educated.
Well,
I'm not even sure what that's supposed to mean, but that I guess it's more college educated people vote Democrat than Republican, which I don't know what the reason for that is.
no, it's hard to understand.
It really is when they give you these statistics. Well, Matt, what do you think about the FBI? 20,000 people going from the federal government and people from the FBI being fired or let go because of January 6th involvement in that?
I think that firing people in the FBI is not I don't think it's a good decision. I think that the FBI does a lot of, important stuff. I think they probably need the 20,000 people that you fired, but...
Not all in the FBI. That's the whole federal government.
Oh, so that's the whole federal... Okay,
Yeah.
cool. You had me a little concerned.
No.
Well, I
But
guess
20,000 people in the federal
Yeah,
government's a lot of people.
But, I was listening to some of the confirmation hearings. I think I was listening to some of the older ones. I listened to like an hour. It was like a 7-hour long video, but I watched listened to like an hour of Kash Patel, and he does a lot of sidestepping questions. He does a lot of non-answering. and things like that. And I think that I don't think that taking the buyouts is a very good decision.
I
mean,
think they're afraid they're going to be fired.
Well, I think there's a fair chance that they're not going to get paid.
Oh, you don't think they'll be paid at all?
Well, I think there's a fair chance that they're not going to be paid, yeah.
Really?
Oh, I don't know.
Well,
I think that would be...
is that actually happening? The till September, like
They
said?
say the payouts are going to happen if they take the
I mean,
buyout.
I thought that was put on hold.
Not that I had heard.
Really?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's going to happen. But, who knows? Things change every 5 minutes in this
Yeah.
world we're in now.
Yeah.
But, well, what do you make of these people, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, apparently all poised to be confirmed? And again, you said that this probably would not happen with all of these people, that the Senate would stand up and they would say, well, you can't do that. Well, apparently they can. All you needed was 4. Couldn't get 4. 4 Republicans to say no.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm certainly...
What made you think they would?
What made me think that they would? I mean, I had faith that, I had faith that the government was a little more sturdy than that. I figured that the people in the Congress would look at the ultra non-qualified people that Trump was nominating, and then basically just laugh them off, and then shoo them away. But nope, then they let in some not so good people, and it looks like they're about to let in some more not so good people. And I'm rather disappointed in Congress.
Well, this is the Senate where all these confirmation hearings are happening.
Yeah.
So, do you believe we have checks and balances right now?
There are checks and balances, but they're certainly not doing anything.
Well, if they aren't doing anything, then you don't have them.
Well, I mean, they're there. They could be doing something. They just opt to not.
Mary Ellen, why do you think nobody's doing anything?
It's because they're all afraid they're going to be have somebody run against them in the primary. That's what's going on.
But can they unding these bells? I mean, if RFK gets in the head of the health department, if Hegseth is already in charge of defense, if Tulsi Gabbard gets into the intelligence department, head of the intelligence department, if a man with the enemies list starts running the FBI, how do you unding those bells if things start to go badly?
I hope they understand what they're doing. I don't think they realize that how serious this is, but maybe they do. I don't know, but I can't understand thinking that their job is so darned important, more important than the Constitution. That's what they're thinking, that their job is more important.
Well, it is interesting. I finally did hear some Republicans, including Lindsey Graham, speak up when the whole thing about the Gaza Strip was mentioned. When Trump was up there with Netanyahu and Trump said he was going to, why doesn't the United States just take over the Gaza Strip? I did hear some Republicans speak out against that and say you can't do that. That's not going to happen. So some did speak out there. Now there's no vote on that, but at least they were speaking out against it, I guess.
Yeah, well, but the thing that they're putting these people in office that are not qualified is bad.
I wonder if the Republicans who don't like Trump think, okay, give him everything he wants, and he's going to fall on his face.
No. I don't know that that's going to happen.
Well, I think that if that's the philosophy that any of them have, it's a very flawed philosophy. Because, at the end of the day, if Donald Trump does fall flat on his face, you were right there along with him. You fell flat on your face. You let everything happen.
Yeah.
You think you're going to get your job back?
Yeah, but see, now, as Mary Ellen said, they're in a catch-22, though, because they feel if they don't vote that way, if they don't vote yes, that Donald Trump will get a Trump candidate and primary them right out of their position, like he's been known to do.
The man that's the doctor, was he in Congress or the Senate?
Cassidy?
Yeah.
Casey? I believe it's Senate.
Well, now, they said that he's going to have to run next time.
I think that's why he's...
Yeah, there he goes.
Yeah,
They have no backbone at all.
I think he'd be. People said he would have voted, or yeah, that he would vote against Hegseth, which would have kept him out.
Yeah.
And that he would vote against RFK, but he knows he's up for re-election, and he can't do it.
Yeah, there you are.
And there you go.
Yeah,
So that's how government really works in 2024.
yeah. And you know, they need
25.
term limits for. It'll never happen, but they should have term limits for this, for the Congress and the Senate. They stay there they get there and they don't want to ever leave, and it's not the way to run government.
You know, Mary Ellen, I was thinking, you went from elected positions, county treasurer, treasurer of the state, to an appointed position, treasurer of the United States. What were the differences between an elected position and an appointed position?
Well, you don't have to run for office in the appointed position. The fact federal government operates very slowly. I couldn't get over how slow it was, but then they're dealing with the whole country. You know, before I was dealing with Ohio, and it's a whole different ball game when you have the whole country that you're talking to, and you have to get your mind out of Ohio and get it into the whole country when you give your speeches.
What's it like to go through a Senate confirmation?
Well, they were all very nice to me. They were tickled to death I was leaving Ohio. The Republicans were, because they wanted me out of there. They thought I was going to run for governor, and they were super nice.
Is there any questions you remember from your confirmation hearing?
Yeah, they wanted. They were talking about about doing away with the penny. That was one of the first questions Moynihan asked me. He said, "Do you think they should do away with the penny?" And I said, "No, I don't." I said, first of all, it's women are writing me letters that their husbands' pockets are going to go bad, and people don't want to carry around a lot of money in their pocket,
Now, when you were there, Strom Thurmond was still there.
Yeah, and Grassley.
And he's still there.
Grassley is still there. And
Ted Kennedy?
Yeah, Ted Kennedy. And there was another one that had been there so long, but he died, and I can't think of his name. But they took me to see each one of the senators that were on the finance committee, and they had somebody from Treasury go with me to listen to what I had to say. And it was very interesting.
What are your memories of a Strom Thurmond or a Ted Kennedy?
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
A lot of people didn't like Strom Thurmond. They felt he was...
I sat at a table with him in another event, sat with him, and he was very nice.
He was very elderly, didn't want to leave that position.
Yeah, but...
I think he'd been I believe he had been he was not nice to African American people.
Really?
Yeah, I believe.
I did not have anybody that wasn't nice to me.
So they were all nice.
Yeah.
Ted Kennedy?
Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah.
Was he as nice as people make him out to be? Except Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter didn't like Ted Kennedy, but I think everybody else did.
And I'll tell you, what I respected about the Kennedys, whenever anything was going on with any of them, they were all there. They showed up. They would have their grandchildren, their children, and all the members that were in office. Everybody'd be there.
What do you think Ted Kennedy would think of RFK in there right now?
Oh my gosh, I bet. I wish somebody'd do something about him in the family.
What do you think JFK would think about RFK?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, just think what he's doing to their family.
Or RFK.
Yeah.
RFK Sr., his father.
Yeah.
He might have the biggest problem of all with his son.
Oh, my, yes.
I was thinking of some of the other people who would have been there in that time. I mean, there were a lot of... John McCain was there during that period.
Hmm. John McCain I traveled with, you know. He was against the dollar coin, or he was for the dollar coin against the dollar bill. And I traveled with him, and yeah, he wanted the dollar coin. It didn't work out.
Nice guy?
Yeah.
All
he
nice.
was- yeah, they were all good to me, yeah.
So these hearings, I guess where we started, being in an appointed position, did you ever have to go along with something that you didn't want to go along with? Because I think essentially that's what we're talking about these days, is that these senators and Congress people feel they have to go along with this stuff or else they'll be out.
Well, there was only one thing. When I was, they wanted to appoint different people in the different treasury buildings that are in other parts of the country. And I thought they ought to be all Democrats. And they didn't think that that was the way it should be. The guy that was right above me, that was a real important guy, I can't think what his job was, but he agreed with me. But they said no, they wanted, they were appointing Republicans in some of those positions. I thought it was a mistake, but that was the only thing I ever had any disagreement on that I can remember.
When you would meet with the president, how often would you meet with Bill Clinton or Al Gore, the president and vice president?
Well, I'd probably see him about once every 2 weeks, yeah.
And what would a typical meeting be like?
Well, they would be coming over to, or I'd be going over there for some reason, and yeah, they were in and out and around in the different buildings talking to people. Yeah, I remember I presented the coins, the new coins, to them that was in the Oval Office, and I was supposed to stand beside Bob Rubin, or no, Phil Deal, who was head of the head of the Mint, and when we came in, Bill Clinton said, "Come over here, Marianne," and put me right between him and Al Gore, and I thought, I'll bet that made Phil Deal mad. Well, he was kind of a situation anyway.
Did you ever? So he wasn't the easiest to deal with always.
Oh, Phil Deal thought I was over him, and he didn't like it. Yeah.
He wasn't a fan of that.
No.
He wasn't you know, when you were in the Oval Office giving a presentation to the President and Vice President of the United States, do you ever think about that while you're in the moment, that here I am?
Yeah. I'd go over my words in my head, make sure I didn't sound stupid.
When you think back on those moments, what comes to your mind?
Oh gosh, just it was so impressive to me. You know, I liked him so well. I just had so much respect for him that I wanted to do what was right for them. You know.
And you came to like Bill Clinton because of Al Gore's endorsement.
Well, I came to like Bill Clinton because he was such a nice guy. After I got to know him, I really liked him. Yeah.
And I do want to talk a little bit about Hillary here, because I think these things are important, because Hillary's still out there, and she still gets that bad reputation. You had personal meetings with Hillary. You had personal discussions with Hillary. What kind of person is she away from the cameras?
Well, she was just as nice as she could be. I had somebody come and that I talked to yesterday that didn't like Hillary, and I said, well, did you know her? No. I said, well, I knew her, and she was very nice. I couldn't get her to tell me why she didn't like her. You know, that's what you were dealing with. it was some impression that they had. I couldn't get her to tell me what it was. I wanted to know why.
So when Hillary and you would get together for whatever reason, what kind of things did she want to talk about? Was she a business person?
Well, one of the things was our ceremony for the Sacagawea. She was in charge of it, and I was on the stage with her, and we were together in the White House then afterwards. And we were talking to different people, but I was talking to her too. And whenever we'd get a new coin or anything, I'd send it over, a new bill. Send it over to him, and then I'd get a letter of thanks back. And yeah, she was very nice. I can't understand. I just don't understand people sometimes. It's beyond me. She couldn't have been any nicer.
And you went on to support her when she ran in the primary against Obama, when she ran for president in 2016. And did you ever think her career would end up that way?
No, never.
And
I just don't understand people's reasoning. They don't like somebody and they don't know them. I mean, why? Why would you say you don't like her when you have no idea what she's like?
Well, that's what's interesting.
Somehow they form it for a reason. I don't know what the heck it was. You know that guy that we talked to in Caledonia said
Lord.
She was a Karen. I thought, what is that? You know? I mean, I'm telling you, it's beyond me.
It's different. It's a different atmosphere. But you know, in those days, I mean, there was some stuff going on, obviously, while you were there. The Monica Lewinsky bit and the Whitewater bit that were going on. But you know, now that we look back on it, it seems kind of trite with everything that's going on today.
It's very minute.
Yeah, it seems like those were the good old days of politicians.
Right. It did seem that thing about that Clinton had killed this guy that they were saying.
Yes, that's true. Yes, his lawyer.
Yeah, and
that's a story.
Huh?
That was a story.
Yeah.
Vernon Jordan, wasn't it?
Yeah. Or no, Vernon Jordan was the black guy, right?
Yeah, who did he kill?
It was.
He didn't kill him. He said he killed him.
Yeah, it was somebody else, but I can't remember. Well, they talked about it for long. Oh, they'd take anything they could to try to make the president look bad.
You know, we have we only have a minute left. We have one more segment to go, but I do want to say this. I heard an interesting story from Larry King about that the man who they thought that Bill Clinton had killed. Yeah. It was a friend of his, very good friend of his, a lawyer.
Yeah.
And Larry King was doing a live broadcast with Bill Clinton that night that happened. And they were going to go over on CNN 90 minutes, and they'd already gotten permission. And at the hour mark, one of Clinton's people said, "Come on, you've got to get off. You've got to get off here at the hour mark. Don't go over." And Clinton said, "Well, I said I would stay over. Why?" So they whisked him away, and he went off at the top of the hour, and then he had found out that's why they did it.
Oh.
They were afraid he was going to find out on the air because it was a live show that somebody would call in and say something.
Yeah.
But we're going to come back, and we've got more current events in our final segment with Mary Ellen and Matt right after this.
What do you think the groundhog's going to do?
I think the groundhog's going to turn. We've had such a cold winter. I think he's going to say we're going to have an early spring.
What do you think, Matt? Groundhog on Sunday? It's going to be 50 degrees, I hear.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's going to be a elongated winter. We're going to start it too late this year.
An elongated winter. Mary Ellen, what do you think's going to happen on Sunday?
Oh, I hope we're going to have a warm spring.
An early spring.
Yes.
Groundhog right around the corner. Who is the groundhog? We don't know.
You're feeling just the same. But seasons come and seasons go. I'll make you smile again. If you don't believe me, take me by the hand. Can't you feel you're warming up? Yeah, I'm your weatherman. Cold winds blowing, snow Temptation is spoiling all your plans.
Here goes the groundhog pizza, and our groundhog right there. This one right here. Let's find out what the prediction is this morning. Bob, sorry, my fingers are frozen. Bob's fingers are frozen. Here, let's get the prediction out of there. There it is. Oh, Bob, what is the prediction?
6 more weeks of winter.
6 more weeks of winter. Oh no, we're in the opposite.
They say it's gone.
6 more weeks of
Say
winter.
winter's
Well, now the
done.
moment has come.
That don't mean a thing. Cause I'm the one that moves the sun. For you I turn it into spring. So when you're feeling lonely, try to understand. Baby, I can warm you up. Cause I'm your
Ellen Withrow is the groundhog. Mary Ellen, come back here so we can hear you on the microphone. It is so good to see you. No, nobody guessed you.
Isn't that great?
Isn't that we kept it a
Yes.
secret?
Yes. You know, this may be the height of my career.
This is the height of your career. Oh my goodness, it happened here on this February 2nd, 2025.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me here, and it meant a lot. This is the definition of community. This is Marion coming together, some of the best people in Marion. Mary Ellen Withrow, what a surprise when you guys took the hood off the groundhog. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed it, and please have me back next year.
The prediction today with the groundhog pizza, 6 more weeks of winter. That's a little tough, but we'll survive. But the identity of the groundhog was amazing. 40th President of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow, who said it was the height of her career, and she has had some career. Marion's favorite daughter, Mary Ellen Withrow, was the groundhog.
I like to do things for Marion because Marion has been really good to me. They elected me back in the beginning, and I couldn't have done all the things that I did if I hadn't been elected. So I like to do whatever I can for Marion and Marion County.
But 6 more weeks of winter, Mary Ellen, is our prediction.
I got the wrong thing.
No.
I think it's fun to be a groundhog. It's the height of my career.
And we're here for our final segment with Matt Morgan and 40th President of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow, talking about what's going on in the Trump administration and also taking a little walk down memory lane, which certainly never hurts. Mary Ellen, when you were confirmed by the Senate, what was the vote there? That's what we were talking about last.
Unanimous.
Complete.
Yeah.
Everybody voted yes.
Yeah. John Glenn called me up and said it's unanimous, Mary Ellen.
And he knew.
Yeah.
He
voted.
And John Glenn is certainly a big name of the Senate at that time. Who are those people in the Senate now? You know, we rattled off a lot in the last segment. Strom Thurmond, John McCain, Ted Kennedy, John Glenn. Who are those people now? Who are the big names in the Senate?
Well, there's more women. The one from Wisconsin or Minnesota that I like.
Klobuchar?
Yeah, I like her a lot. And the one from Boston that was in charge of the finance committee the guy that ran for governor was in. She's on a lot yet. There's more women in, and then there was one guy that had been there so long I can't think of anybody's names anymore.
You know, it is interesting that I wonder if you went around today and said, "Who are your senators?" to people in the state. I wonder if people would know. I don't think they would.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of times people don't know that, especially the fact that we had 2 legislators from Marion. It was split almost. Marion City was split in half, and you never could remember whether it was the 86th district or the 87th district. And you asked somebody, and they didn't know. you know.
No, and they don't know until they show up to vote, and I think then they just look at the name that's familiar to them.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Matt, we haven't asked you about this. What do you think of what's going on in Treasury? Elon Musk has your Social Security number now. He can stop payments on things. Treasury's being sued.
I mean, I really don't see a need for Elon Musk to have the Social Security information. I mean, unless he's going to cut Social Security.
Well, I think this is where all the money comes from to pay everything. I think the idea is that he can stop payment on anything.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's...
And again, who's saying anything? Where's the Congress? Where's the Senate?
Well, I mean, people have said things. It's just...
The Democrats?
Yeah.
What Republican has said anything about that?
They're afraid to.
I don't see them speaking up. I can't think of one who has said anything about the Treasury thing. The Democrats get together about every day now and have a press conference
Well,
saying
they should.
Yeah, they got to do something.
Yeah, they ought to be
I
working out something.
I don't see any Republicans jumping up and down about the thing.
I got such a kick out of John Kennedy. Did you hear him today?
I know who.
He came on, you know, the guy from, is it Louisiana, where he's from? He was state treasurer when I was state treasurer. He had changed his name to John Kennedy. At that time, he was a Democrat. Now he's a Republican with the name John Kennedy, which he's always got something really off the record to say.
You know, I think he's become... People like those caricatures.
Yeah, they do. And they're amusing.
Yeah, and I think he's fallen into that category.
He's one of those.
He's a caricature.
Yeah.
And to watch him and Grassley, who I think at 91 is just tired at this point, he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
But he just grumbles at people at this point. Why in the world? Why do you think at 91 and being there for 40 plus years, he still wants that job?
Yeah, he can't give it up.
What do you think that is? I mean, we talk about term limits, but these guys keep running and running and running.
I know, and they, you know, it's just not good for the country when they do that.
But they keep getting elected, too. People in their district just go right ahead.
Well, people know their name, and they don't have to worry about if they know what he's going to do, you know.
You know, I honestly think, though, that really, if we could get back in John Adams and Thomas Jefferson and Madison's heads, I think they really thought that if somebody would have run 14 times, that people would not vote for them eventually, that they would say, you know what, it's time you go home. And I think they also thought that things would not be so, people would be more worried about the country than their job.
Yeah.
And I think they thought that's how it would work. And I think that may be the fatal flaw that we're running into now, nearly 250 years into this country.
Well, I mean, I think that you know, the whole idea is that democracy only works if the people in the democracy want it to, kind of thing. You know, you got to show up to do your part in a democracy, otherwise it's not much of a democracy.
But people have for 248 years. I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah.
But yet, now, no. So far, 17 days into this new president. But of course, nobody's ever tested the limits of democracy like this. It's interesting to me when people start quoting Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, as somebody who tried to push the limits, or Teddy Roosevelt, or people like that. I mean, yes, they did in a way, but they did it within the framework of the government. They always say, well, this person tried to do it. Well, trying to do it and getting it done are two different things. They didn't get it done. They might have tried to do it. Nixon tried to do a lot of things he didn't get done. Now it's different, though. Now you can do it right out in the open, and nobody puts the brakes on you. Why?
Because the Republicans are threatened and they're not voting the way they should.
Well, you know what I want to know is what is the end result of all this? You know, once these people are confirmed.
We all want to know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Where is this going?
Yeah.
Because I would like to know what is the point? Because a lot of this is not favorable at this point to a lot of people. So where does this all end?
Well, the next election should reflect that.
You would think.
We hope.
What did you make of the tariffs, Matt? Didn't happen for Canada and Mexico.
I mean, I think that 10,000 troops is...
Mexico gave.
Yeah, Mexico gave 10,000 troops to the border. I don't think that 10,000 troops is anywhere near enough to do what Donald Trump wants it to do. And I think that Canada agreed to some surveillance or something like that at the border. And, I'm pretty sure that if you would have just asked Canada nicely, they probably would have just done that anyways. I mean, it's just surveillance at the... I don't know. Surveillance at the border. I mean, they got the stuff to do it. I don't know why. I don't know. But I think that, I don't think Donald Trump got nearly what he wanted. I mean, especially from... Canada just kind of said that they were going to put tariffs on us, but... the president from Mexico, she was quite vocal. She was like, we have a plan A, B, and C over here. And then she also said, because of the renaming of the Gulf of Mexico, she said something along the lines of, if we're renaming things that don't belong to us, I think we should call America I think we should call the United States Mexican America.
Well, she's got an opinion, clearly.
I'm surprised we haven't heard more about the people that ICE is taking. I thought we'd be hearing more bad things about that. I guess they're in Marion, from what I've heard.
Yeah. Now, it's my understanding that the sheriff attended a class. Our sheriff did attend a class that was given by the border czar.
Really?
But the rule, I guess, hasn't changed. That if they're committing a crime, then there could be some problem, but they're not just going to go door to door or anything like that.
Oh, they're not?
That's what my understanding from the sheriff was.
Well, that's good.
So, and he had a class with the border czar. See, I think that's one of those things then, as they said, Obama still deported more people than Trump did at a greater rate. So I think, again, this is one of those act like it's a bigger thing than it is, and it'll seem like I'm doing more, much like with the tariffs, much like with Gaza, much like with pretty much everything he does, and I guess it'll come across bigger.
I don't think that Donald Trump's gonna go anywhere near Gaza. I mean, he could try, I guess. I don't think it'll work out for him. I think international law would probably step in, and I think that there would be so much pressure put on by the other countries that he would just kind of stop.
See, I think he's saying all these things about Gaza, and I think he's saying all these things about tariffs and these whole Senate confirmations, because the real story, I believe, is happening in Treasury. I believe, you can stop payments to people and have people's information. And Elon Musk has companies that are in bid wars against some of these federal contractors.
Yeah.
This is where find out what people make. They're not supposed to have access to that, but they've got it. And I think that's where the real story is, and they're trying to stay as far away from that, I think. So he goes out and says something about Gaza because he knows the media will turn to that. And because you have to, because it's a big story, but is it true? I don't know.
So you think it's just a media blitz?
Do I think Donald Trump, America's going to go to Gaza? No. I don't think you'll ever see that.
But what I wonder is Musk able to get into the IRS? I mean, that's in Treasury. There's all these departments in Treasury, and lots of information that you don't know what he's into.
Whatever happened to the vice president?
He's not doing much.
No.
No, I haven't heard anything.
He was the tie-breaking vote.
Yeah, but what else is he doing?
Not anything else.
That's about it. I mean, he was trying to calm down the people running for those positions in the beginning, but I haven't heard anything lately.
No, he's kind of been out the door. I don't know what's going on there. and let's talk about the FCC, by the way. This is a big thing, because, Matt, we talked about this before the election, going after the media, going after the free press, part of the First Amendment. Well, now he's got them all in there. PBS, NPR, CBS, ABC, NBC, all PBS and NPR under investigation, and CBS, ABC, and NBC all have complaints reinstated against them. And we know what the complaints are. CBS edited an interview, ABC put a moderator on a debate they didn't like, NBC's Saturday Night Live had Kamala Harris on. Well, they seem to be going after the media.
It would certainly seem that way, yeah. I think that, opening up the, kind of like what I was talking about with the PBS and NPR. I think that opening up these needless is, I don't know, it's not the best word for it, but needless investigations into the media is, it's no good. It's, the Constitution guarantees you the right to a free press, and I think that that's probably for the best.
So why does nobody say anything? Why does nobody, again, where are the Republicans saying you should not do this?
I don't know. I guess they're trying to wait out 4 years. That's what it would seem like to me.
Maybe
they're
2.
trying to wait out 4 years.
Well, but at some point, Mary Ellen, don't they have to figure that in 2 years, it may not be the primary that gets them, it may be the main election that gets them?
Well, yeah, I thought it'd catch up with them before this. But the ones, they know if they're safe in their district or not, and they can play it to the hilt when they're safe. And that's what they're doing.
I haven't seen much from Jim Jordan. I thought he would get some kind of position.
He has been very quiet, yeah.
I wonder what he's doing.
I don't know. I saw him in a picture with the president. There was a group of them, and he was right there by the president. I don't know what he's up to.
I did check on this after the conversation on Sunday. Vivek Ramaswamy has not announced he's going to run for governor yet.
He hasn't?
No, he's going to, but he hasn't done it yet officially.
Really?
Yeah. What do you make of Vivek Ramaswamy?
Well, he's going to run a tough campaign, I'm sure. He lives close to Beck.
Really?
My daughter in Upper Arlington, yeah. And I don't know if the name is going to be a problem for him, but I have no way of knowing. And when he ran for president, how did he do? I was trying to remember.
Not very well.
Yeah.
Not very well.
Well.
Amy Acton is getting out there doing some media. What do you make of her first forays out into public?
Well, she was on the Spectrum program Sunday when we were doing our groundhog fun, and she gave a reason why she's running, which is a very good reason. She said, I don't like what they're doing. I thought it's a good thing to say. Yeah.
The Democratic Party used to have a strong hold here in Ohio. We had people like John Glenn.
Yeah.
We had people like yourself. There were Democratic governors like Strickland and Celeste and people like that. And then, is this all to do with the unions to a great degree?
Well, the unions had a lot to do with it, and they've lost their. It was interesting in this past election. How the one union didn't support Kamala. The rest of them did, didn't they?
Yeah, most of them did.
Yeah, but the main which union was it?
Was it the police?
No, the police I think supported her. It was the
Teamsters?
Yeah, Teamsters. Yeah.
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 And what do the union people want to hear?
They want to hear that you're supporting them. That's the main thing they want to hear. Yeah.
I find it fascinating. I'm not sure who the Democrats should go for now, voter-wise, because it seems as if that group of lower economic people have decided to vote Republican now. So I'm not sure who they have to appeal to win governor or win a Senate seat in Ohio. It doesn't seem like our senators are very strong. I mean, you've got 2 brand new senators.
Yeah.
Bernie Moreno and the former lieutenant governor.
He's
Yeah.
dead.
Houston, I can remember his name there for a second. Went out of my head.
What's his name?
Houston.
John Husted.
Yeah,
Houston.
Houston. He wouldn't have made it I thought it was a wise choice for him to go that direction because he would not have made it for
Oh, no.
governor.
I think the first energy thing would have probably done him in.
The what?
First energy thing?
But he is going to have to run for re-election. I wonder who's going to run against
Well,
him.
but it's a different. It's just his by being with the governor all this time hasn't helped him. I'll put it that way.
And we don't know what will happen with DeWine.
Well, no, I think he's going to resign, but
Retire?
yeah, I mean retire. Yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
don't think Vivek Ramaswamy will be looking for Mike DeWine's help.
I think Vivek Ramaswamy will have a pretty good chance.
Do
I
you?
mean, we're Ohio, and they tend to the Republican, and I mean, I guess I could just be the exception and not the rule, but I mean, I do know a lot of people who liked Vivek Ramaswamy and during the primaries, the presidential primaries.
Really?
And it's pretty much because, like, if you were to watch a Vivek Ramaswamy rally, it would be pretty much the same thing as a Trump rally. He just,
Oh, really?
Yeah, he pretty much took it play by play from Trump's playbook.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, but will that play in Ohio? All our governors have been Caucasian men.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Vivek Ramaswamy. That's not Amy Acton.
Well, I guess one way or another.
Well, you could get Dave Yost.
Yeah, we could get Dave Yost, I guess. Well, 66% chance you get somebody you never got before.
At this point, I think more people are going to get into this. I would imagine. I would imagine some other Democrats are going to get into this.
I think Sherrod Brown should give it a go.
You think you do?
I don't think. I mean, what else would he try for at this point?
Well, he could retire.
He could retire, but
Yeah.
I think if he wanted to stay in politics, I think governor's probably his best bet.
I don't think Rich Cordray has said goodbye for the last time.
Don't you?
I don't think so.
Is he the one who you were interviewing, and when you asked him, he said that he wouldn't close the door, however?
He just didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's thinking about it, but I think he has to see if the party's going to support him. I don't think a man who was the candidate for governor would want to run again if he doesn't think he could win the primary. And I don't know what Dennis Kucinich is going to do. He seems to run for something every time it's up.
He might as well retire, I would say. Yeah.
What happened with Dennis Kucinich? Here was the boy mayor from Cleveland.
Well, he was never really very popular.
But he did run for president. He got a lot of national attention.
But I mean, he ran, but where was he? Yeah.
Didn't run very far.
No.
Didn't make it very far.
Right.
But I guess he was the Ohioan who you did see on national debates and things like that.
Well, first of all, he's too short.
Well, there's his first problem.
That's right.
All right, he needed...
I mean, you got to have a little bit of height to yourself to run for things if you're a man. And I don't know about the women, but I don't know if height has anything to do with it or not. We're just having a rough time.
Well, you would think at some point that there would be a woman who could come along, who could captivate people into voting for them, and I'm not sure what the holdup is.
I thought we had one with Kamala Harris. I thought she had it.
I don't know what the fatal flaw there was.
I don't either, because she knew how to speak. She knew how to handle the crowd. I thought she was terrific.
I think that there just wasn't much news on her when she was vice president, and then she only had like 6 months to actually run, and then the big complaint was that people didn't know who she was, basically. And then I think they did the best they could have to remedy that. I mean, the Democratic convention was pretty much like a whole get-to-know Kamala thing. So
I think you're right on the fact that she was hardly seen during being vice president. I think that did have a lot to do with it, because people were surprised when she ran And if she had been more visibly, and you can blame the press for that, and you can blame the president for that.
Well, I still wonder if she had, because if Biden had stepped back, and I think this is why a lot of blame is on Biden by the Democrats right now, if he had said, I'm only doing one term, he kept the Senate and the House, he was able to do well in the midterms. If after the midterms he would have said, I'm going to be a transitional president, I'm out of here in 2 years, then people could have run. And would she have won a primary? I don't know if she would have. And I think that was ultimately the problem, is nobody really knows how good a candidate she was.
Right.
Because she never had to run a primary. There never was
Well, she was in the primary for the presidency.
And didn't do well.
No, and a lot of people remembered that.
Well, and that's why I was shocked that she was chosen so heavily, because the only presidential primary she'd ever been in, she did poorly in. And I thought, and I always say, if you go back and listen to Joe Biden left that race kicking and screaming on a Sunday.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And on Friday night, when he was still saying, I'm not going, we did a show, the three of us, I think, were on that Friday night. And I think her name, because we were all saying, well, what's going to happen if he gets out? Where are we going to go? Her name might have been mentioned twice. It was not a heavy mention. She was not a heavy consideration until Biden got out and said she needs to be the one. And I'm not sure he should have done that. I think he should have gotten out and left it up to the Democratic Party to figure it out.
Yeah, well, the only thing we can do is guess about that, A lot of people have said that.
Well, a lot of people feel that if she runs for governor of California that she won't do well.
Really?
Is
Yeah,
that right?
maybe she will. I don't know.
I'm almost certain she'd win governorship of California.
I think she would too.
I don't know after these wildfires. I don't think right now that the Democratic Party is very popular right now in California, in places they would normally be popular.
Do you
Really?
think they're going to elect a Republican, or do you think they're just not going to elect her?
Well, Reagan was the governor of California. It hasn't been that long ago that they elected Republicans. I don't know that it would be a Republican, but I think if Gavin Newsom wants to keep the job, I think he'd certainly be formidable. I think there are people in California who, celebrities. Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California, and he was a Republican.
I think Gavin Newsom would be an alright presidential candidate. He's got a lot of name
Well, a lot of
recognition.
people felt that he or the governor of Pennsylvania should have been the person.
And he's good looking too. That's a big help. But they're having the Olympics in Los Angeles in 3 years, and I just wonder how they're going to be able to get everything together. And after the fire and everything, it's all that cost. I think it would be terrible to try to get that together.
I think after this all shakes out, what we find out what's going to go on with the wildfires will have a big impact on the next gubernatorial race out there. And I don't even know that she will get in if she feels it's not a good chance.
I think she's probably very depressed at this point.
Well, and it's also very interesting to me that the National Party has pretty well said, we don't think you should run again in the next presidential. I mean, they're already saying they don't feel that she will ever be there again.
Well, yeah, but you don't know that. A lot of things change. 4 years, it's a different ball game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who emerges, because somebody's going to have to emerge from somewhere.
Well, you got the Michigan governor, who's very attractive.
Whitmer.
Yeah, she's a very good governor. And I like Newsom, too. I've always liked him. And somebody may appear that we don't even know about,
Well, I think, what's interesting to me, I remember when Hillary Clinton was running for president, one of the top picks that they wanted to be her vice presidential candidate was Sherrod Brown.
Right.
So it's interesting to me, Sherrod Brown did not want to leave the Senate at that time.
Yeah.
Well, he's freed up at this point. Would somebody like him be a good candidate, or is he?
Oh, well, I never thought of that, but that might be good for him. Yeah.
I can't imagine he'd retire. at this
Well,
point.
he's 70 in his 70s.
He is older, but I just don't, because he clearly wanted to do another 6 years as senator. He went out on a loss. I just can't imagine he'd want to go out like that.
Oh, okay.
But maybe he would want an appointed position. You know, I think that's what we would have seen had Kamala Harris won. I think a lot of these people would have been appointed
Oh, yeah.
to positions in the
Right.
government.
Mm-hmm.
You know, heads of these departments.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll see how it all shakes out, but I find it fascinating what's going on now, and I'm not sure how history is going to look at Donald Trump. I don't know.
Well, I know how I'm looking at him.
Do you think, is there anything he can do that would turn this around?
He could resign.
Well, there you go. He could leave. He could leave.
But then we'd have J.D. Vance.
What do you make of J.D.
That's worse.
Worse
That's
than Trump?
worse than Trump.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't mind J.D. Vance.
Oh, my gosh.
And then he got involved. He got
you've
involved
gotta-
with Trump, and then he
you've
was
gotta study
crazy.
his background. He doesn't like women. I mean, he's said all this stuff about women. I tell you,
It's an interesting time.
yeah,
You know, but you know, something will happen. Something always happens.
yeah.
We just hope that something will turn around here at some point. Maybe it'll be the people. I don't know. Maybe the people will stand up. In the end, you know, I think it's got to be the people. If the people don't go along. I do believe that deep down about Trump, though. I don't think Trump wants to go down in history as a failure. And I think if the people turn on what he's doing, I do think he's got like a 47% approval rating right now. I think if his approval rating started to plummet, I think he would change what he was doing.
Well, that could be.
Because I don't think he wants to go down as a failure in history. This is it for him as far as
Well,
president goes.
As far as I'm concerned,
He's already there.
I'm not going to say any more.
No, I think we knew where that was going.
Yeah,
I think.
right.
Well, Mary Ellen, it was so good to have you as the groundhog.
It
And
was fun being the groundhog.
So glad for you to be here
Yes.
tonight discussing all these things. And they keep going, and I think it's important to talk about them because this is what people want. People, you got to keep talking. If nobody talks, then we're all in trouble.
Oh, that's right. Yes, and they've said that. I mean, even the Democratic Party has said, you know, the main people have said you've got to stand up for what you still believe in and say it and promote it and keep talking.
Keep talking. And that's
right.
what we're going to do is keep talking here. For Matt Morgan, 40th Treasurer of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow, Scott Spears heading for the dugout.